Hello, good morning to you. Hola, bon dia. Good morning, Portugal. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal show. And you know what it means on a Monday. The food tour continues. Frank about food. Frank will be with us in a moment. Look, he's already got fan mail. Time for the sexiest foodie on the internet. Frank about food. We'll see maybe if we can get Owen to do a jingle saying that, because he's done Philomena Friday for us. But how about time for the sexiest foodie on the internet, Frank Devane. Frank about food. Okay, Andy, the Doc Thompson's here as well. Jersey, Rachel's here. Penny, Gemini, and Kiza as well. Good morning, Kiza. Not said hello to you before. We'll come back and say hello to all of you when I have Frank on the screen. How's your weekend been? What sort of week are you looking forward to? The temperature is rising in Portugal. It's fantastic. So let's bring on that sexiest foodie. How do you feel about that, Frank? Good morning to you.
Well, thank you for that very nice compliment there, Hank. How you doing, man? You can buy the first drink.
Yes, looking very dapper. I feel a bit underdressed. Forget that you dress up so beautifully for this, Frank.
Well, yes, we have to, right? We have to pay respect to the food and whatever is going on over here. Plus, you know, I'm showing up with you. It's Carl Munson. I gotta brighten it up a bit, you know.
Yes, look at me in my old Primark shirt. Okay, so we are going to the beautiful Alentejo. You've sent me the most beautiful set of photographs. The colour of the Alentejo. Why the Alentejo today, Frank, on this food tour?
Alentejo, I intentionally kept Alentejo not till the end, but I wanted it to be somewhere in the meat of it till the time we get to the meat and potatoes of, and no insult to any other region, to get to the meat and potatoes of Portugal. And to me, the Alentejo being the breadbasket of Portugal and producing everything, having like the almost complete monopoly of the wines, the great food, the great pork, everything else that gets produced over there. I thought this would be a good time to bring on Alentejo and go with this beautiful region, which I've actually been very lucky to go and see with good friend Neil, also known as Alan from Tejo, and visiting his beautiful wife and him a few months back. So I had a very good idea of what Alentejo is all about. Would like to go a few more times.
Really looking forward to that. We've been to the north. We've been to... Where else have we been on our tour? Where did we start? Can you remember? Oh,
you've been to my town. You've been to Coimbra. You've been to Trás-os-Montes. We've been to Porto. We've been to Algarve.
And now today the Alentejo. And we'll, as I say, we've got some lovely photographs. The colour, I was staggered by the colour. And this is the food tour that we've been doing with Frank. It's a bit of a spin-off from our wine club that we do every Thursday evening. If you're interested in Portuguese wine, join us on a Thursday evening from 9 o'clock, where we've been on a food tour. We've tasted 36 wines from Portugal, which I think is an outstanding effort. And we wanted to have a look and share with you the beautiful food of Portugal as well. That's what we do every Monday with Frank, who's here now. Let's see who else has joined us this morning, as well as Hank over there in California. From Leria, Our friend the Doc, hola todos, bom dia, alegria, de la ria, very good. Jersey, over in the States, hola, bom dia todos. I love it. People are speaking Portuguese. This is fantastic. Bom dia todos. E uma ótima semana. Good week to you as well from Rachel. Thank you very much, Rachel. Hola, Carl and Frank. Bom dia, alegria. Sunny day here in Brixton. I said in the UK, looking forward to having my taste buds tickled again. People know what to expect now. This is fantastic. Who else is here? So many lovely comments. Good morning, everyone. From Gemini Bradshaw. Kiza, who I mentioned before. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Kiza Solomon Simo Ug. Good morning to you. And from you, Joe Diaz. Good morning, Joe. I haven't seen you for a while. You're very welcome here. Paul Richards, greetings from Harrogate. Whoopee, spring is here. Yes, it officially is. We're past the vernal equinox, aren't we? Or equinox. Even the sheep in the field are smiling. Paul's been out to see the sheep already this morning. Hank, hola, comrades, bon dia. Shelley, good morning to you, Shelley. Good morning. Bon dia to you, Andrea Pereira. Bon dia, all flights booked for Portugal in August. Well done. Fingers crossed we can go. It's quite a risk, isn't it? And Kiza is all the way from Uganda this morning. How lovely. I freaking told you, says Hank. I'm guessing this is how he speaks. Take a look at this guy. He's out of confinement and just, damn, brother, looking good. He probably doesn't talk like that, does he? Morning all. Morning, Carl, says John Hayfield. Good morning to you, John. Not such a good morning. Oh, I had a long conversation with my beer yesterday. Oh, dear. It's taking a suddenly dark turn on the Good Morning Portugal show. I now have a killer hangover and a busy day ahead. Must have been a long conversation. Yes, it was a long conversation. It got complex talking to your beer yesterday by the sound of it, Lee. It can happen. What's the best Portuguese hangover food? That's a great question. Frank may have a little bit of experience in that department. Prosecco Peggy in the house. Ottima in the Algarve this morning. Good morning, Peggy. I got your message. I will get back to you. Milda, bon dia from Norway. And Garvo, our old mate Gary. Good morning, you beautiful exotic peacock. Oh, and you, Frank. Good morning, Carla Frank from Donna. Hello, Donna. How are you, exotic peacock? Hola, bon dia, alegria from Paul and Louise in the UK. Hank, hi, old Peggy. Good to see you. Bon dia from Ian. Hello, Ian. A beautiful spring sunshine. Thanks for your message as well. In Hertfordshire this morning. So Ian Turner over there in Hertfordshire. Just a couple more greetings, then we'll get underway with the Alentejo food. Beautiful food of the Alentejo region. If you guys haven't checked out Lucille's videos, they were all worth a watch. Who is that then? We have to find out who that might be. Bon dia. Toros from Villa de Conde, from Susan. Hi, Susan. Joel, the buddy Joel from the Man Cave is here. Matosinos, obviously, if you tuned in last week, you'll have enjoyed our love of the Francesina. And Joel, is he going to take us out to have one or not? He says they're the best in the country. And we are hoping you will, Joel, at some point. Maybe do the Francesina tour as a regular thing for Good Morning Portugal viewers. And Hank's busy this morning, working the room. So, shall I bring these photographs on then, Frank, and have a look at this marvellous colour of the Alentejo? Oh, actually, set the scene first with a map, okay? So I don't know if you want to talk us through this.
Yes, it's if you look at Alentejo geographically where it's located, this area is so blessed with amazing agriculture. It's called the gastronomic soul of Portugal, and land beyond the Tagus, Garden of Portugal, and what I just call it is the breadbasket of Portugal. You just look at the terra and what they produce. It's just unbelievable. Beautiful rolling hills. You can see till very, very far these kinds of trees. It's just unbelievable as you drive around these areas, as I've had the privilege of going through. If you look over here, these are all the wines that we've been talking about for the longest time. This is the different wine regions that we've got along there. If you could go to a photo before that one, Carol. This is what I was reading is like this particular sign introduces you to the root of the wines of Alentejo. This is where all the proper action starts. And as we've mentioned before, you and I think we both agreed, you're a big Alentejo wine fan, right?
I didn't realize that until I think it was you that asked the question in the wine club the other night, wasn't it? What are your three favorite regions after all this tasting we've done? And I didn't have it as a prepared answer. I just thought to myself, what are the most outstanding wines I've tasted here? And the Alentejo has it. Douro is an amazing region, very reliable. Loads, it is the capital of winemaking, I think. But then I thought, which are the best ones I've had? Alentejo.
Alentejo by far is just unbelievable. Even if you get Alentejo boxed wines, they're amazing. So moving right along, I just wanted the viewers to see what they've got as far as variety is concerned. The Alentejo, the different wine regions, how close they are to Spain. Look at how the setup over here. As you go to the next photograph. Look at how beautifully this is set up. You don't even, it's not even about the wines. Look at the land. They call Alentejo, and this is kind of unfortunate. They call Alentejo the Tuscany of Portugal, and I don't like comparing it to anywhere in Italy or anywhere else. It's got its own identity because I've been to Tuscany. It does not look like this. So Alentejo has its own identity. It's a beautiful, beautiful terra. Penny, right now, Penny for 2 seconds, Penny got excited, and then I took it away.
But I've been guilty of that, Frank. You're saying, that Portugal could compete with Italy and France, Provence, Tuscany. We have places and views like that that would sit alongside. I mean, I know comparisons. Is it Oscar Wilde who said comparisons are odious? But just to give Portugal its due respect, I think we can say that there are views and vistas and just breathtaking scenes like this that do easily put it alongside Tuscany and Provence. And I mean, maybe it's a good thing that everyone doesn't know about it, but then it also seems that Portugal loses out a bit because of that.
It's Portugal's modesty that should be put front and center.
True.
It's a very modest land with modest people, and they produce amazing stuff. It's the #1 wine producer in the world. Look at the everything from the Cartucha to the Esporão to all these different vineyards to the Vidigueira that we went with Neil and Rita to. Unbelievable! It's out of this world what they produce.
All right. So before we get into the food then and the food pictures, do you have a tip for Lee this morning who's suffering from a Sagres or Superbock hangover? Do you have experience in these matters?
Me, not necessarily, because I wake up from a hangover like a daisy in the morning, and I'm up and about, hair of the dog, a few more down, and you're good to go, Lee. Just get yourself some nice Portuguese vodka, and you're good to go.
Okay, and the thing is about that is you won't be out of place, will you? If you go into, you can't go into a cafe. Maybe you will be out of place now because what you have to do is get a takeaway coffee. It's a bit self-conscious, I suppose, if you ask for your aguardente to go with it on a takeaway basis. But people do, like in France. I've seen that back in the day. You're in a cafe in France, savouring the atmosphere, and a few of the old boys are in there having a brandy to start the day. No
one will blink an eye. No one will bat an eye if you were to say uma bica com pouquinho aguardente. The person will just put it in there, and he will actually ask you. Like they won't look for shots and stuff like that. They'll just put it in there. They'll be like, poor guy, he's having a morning like me.
Yeah, there you go. No judgment. So let's get into the beautiful dishes then. This
yes.
First of all, what we got here?
These are the cheeses of Alentejo region. So you've got the Serpa cheese. You've got as you move in with different kinds of cheeses. There's queijo fresco, and then there's queijo seco. So you've got the dry cheeses, and then you've got the fresh cheeses. This particular cheese over here, Ovelha Corrado, it got the highest cheese award in Europe. This is one of the top produced cheeses from this region, representing Portugal.
Is that the highest smelling cheese or the highest quality cheese?
I think it will be a combination of both. This cheese. If you go, I bet you, if you were to go into this cheese production area, it would smell like socks, but it would taste beautiful.
I've had a bit of a domestic issue here. I do have to keep my cheese in a Tupperware now. Vegan Mrs. M is not too happy about some of the fragrances emanating from my now Portuguese fridge. So I've got a special Tupperware for keeping my cheeses in there.
Hold on, Carl. Don't get kicked out. Don't get kicked out as yet. You won't like your couch. I've seen your couch. It's not comfortable.
It's L shaped. So that's what's so comfortable about it. But you can imagine, you can get a sense of the fragrance of this wonderful establishment here, can't you?
Yes, it's the cheeses. And I actually, well, funny enough, I had to figure out. It took me 6 to 8 months to figure out. You know those cheeses that the amanteigado ones, the ones that you have to like pick out like the top, and then inside there's this very buttery kind of cheese. I think the next picture will be, or the picture after that will be about that cheese. This is the cheese from Evora.
Yeah. I haven't eaten.
This is the cheese. So you open it up, and inside there is this creamy goodness of cheese. You can put your nice broa in there, and broa is the broa de meal, and it would just be unbelievable.
Oh, Frank, while we're on this, because what's on my mind is the wax, and how it must be that there are different kinds of people. Excuse me, I'm getting hungry, and it's stimulating my digestion here, which is causing all sorts of problems. And every time we do this, I think I should have eaten something. This is unbearable, but there you go, I didn't, and I'm sure the same thing is happening to other people. But the issue I've got with this, or the question I've got about it, is you know, how there might be some people who go, those really thrifty people who like to go right close to the wax. It might even be a Portuguese saying, mustn't it? You know, he's the guy who goes close to the wax. And last week we wondered what you did with the salt cod water, and we've discovered that you can use it to attract fruit flies. Just to let everybody know, Lee, head gardener, who's got a hangover this morning, said, yes, I was watching a show this morning. Here's what you do with bacalhau, what the water that you soak the bacalhau in. You hang it from a plastic old water bottle from a tree, and it attracts pests and fruit flies and so on. What do you do with the old cheese wax? And I think some people probably even eat it, don't they?
Well, and this is what I've done with a lot of this old cheese wax. I've actually it's a lot of it, and I've looked into this. A lot of this is not cheese wax. I've cooked with this. So what I've done is I've cut into small pieces, like not that small, a little thick, and then I've cooked with it, and then I've fished it out because it's still got a lot of taste to it. For some reason, I've never had any issues. I did ask someone about this Portuguese cheese aficionado, and they were just like, "You're throwing it away? Don't throw that away, man.
Really?
We used to eat this stuff." Yeah.
That's very interesting. So I guess, you know, that would vary from producer to producer on how edible that outer casing is, right? So you've got to be careful with that. But
if it's full on wax, I'm not saying eat the wax, but you'll have a very good idea. At least taste the wax. It won't kill you. It'll just make you stronger.
I've got a great idea for a Yankee candle as well. Portuguese cheese flavor. Light that up in the hearth, and you have the smell of Portuguese cheese wafting throughout the house. That's
Get
a winner.
marketing going on that one.
That is a winner, isn't it? Hola, bon dia from Paul, from a glorious morning here in Cabanas de Tavira. What a start to the week. This is what we're talking about. This is what we moved here for. The old mate Rowan Ford's here as well. Hey, Rowan, how are you doing in there in Devon in the UK? Most of the wines we drink are from the Alentejo, says Donna. Very good, Donna. Great to hear that. The respectable thing in the morning is a bottle of Prosecco. If you are looking for that air of responsibility, don't eat the wax, but drink a bottle of Prosecco of a morning is the advice from Peggy. Coffee with a shot of liqueur. Thanks for this, Rachel. Coffee with a shot of liqueur is called Café con Cheirinho. So that
that's what it was. That's why I forgot.
Thank you. Bon dia, Frank and Hank. Iturush from Peggy. A good cure going to Lee's predicament this morning is a bifana and a glass of vinho tinto, which again you could ask for in Portugal with no one raising an eyebrow. Stop whining and man up, Lee. There's the other bit of advice. That's very straightforward. Garvo is taking this kind of would-be elder thing, elder in training thing seriously, isn't he? Speaking to the young fellas like that. Falada and a good coffee will see you okay. Deep sigh and shaking of head amateurs. So Gary's changed, hasn't he, in these last few weeks? What's happened to him?
Carbonator.
I'm not, yeah, the Garvinator. I'm not saying I don't like it, but I see a change there as he steps into the role of elder, dishing out his advice. Bananas, lots of potassium in bananas, soaks up the alcohol, kills the hangover. There you go. You can look like a vegan gardener this morning, Lee, if you really want to. Just because the cheese is an animal product isn't meat. Unless, hold on, Joel, just because cheese is an animal product, it isn't meat, unless that weird Italian cheese with worms in it. It sounds like Portugal doesn't have a similar worm-filled or maggot-filled cheese, thankfully. Yes, Joel, but not for vegans. Point of order there from the doc. Paul and Louise, Kezia, rind of wax. If rind, oh, I see. Okay, so is it rind?
That's what I do.
Yeah, so is it solid cheese or is it wax? If it's rind, you can add it to soup. There you go, thereby killing the external germ-ridden surface. But then again, I mean, let's face it, if you're eating cheese, you're eating germs anyway, aren't you? Good bacteria, maybe I should call it. Bon dia alegria from Mike Campion. Hannah Downing, are any of the cheeses exported available abroad in the UK? I've never seen them, Hannah. I couldn't answer that, but I've not seen them as a...
You haven't? In Canada, we see a lot of Portuguese cheeses. That's how I got used to a lot of the Portuguese products, because exactly the same products you've got over here, we've seen them in Canada.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But I'm again thinking maybe there's a fear here in this country. If you start sending it abroad, there'll be none left for local Portuguese people to do.
That's very true.
That could be some of it, or it just is. It's one of these marketing things, isn't it? It just hasn't come round to that moment yet. Or sometimes it's said about Portugal, the volume isn't there to make the supermarkets interested. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Can I ask, says Hank, on this while we're talking about booze, is vinho pronounced with a V sound or a B sound?
Vinho. So it's a V.
I wonder why he's saying that. Vinho. Maybe it's just our sound quality that we have on the Good Morning Portugal show. But I would go with a V for sure. And we'll probably find out from Joel what a binho is. A binho might be something unspeakably disgusting. So let's find that out from the Portuguese speaker so that Hank doesn't get himself into any trouble. Fantastic. Onward then with this wonderful. If you've just joined us, we are in the Alentejo virtually this morning, looking at all the lovely food. Had a quick look at the vineyards, the vistas, the beautiful scenery. You got to go there at some point. It's a requirement on any proper Portuguese tour to get to the Alentejo. We've had a look at the cheese. We've talked about cheese, rind, and wax. That mystery's been solved for me. So onward then, Frank. And I think we're going to look at some pictures of.
I've got a very, very nice surprise for the vegetarians in case they kind of feel left out. One of the top dishes in Alentejo is this sorda alentejana, which basically is broth, bread. It's obviously a very nicely seasoned broth, and you could put stale bread in it, and then right up top you've got a nice egg, and this would be a very good hangover cure. The broth itself is salt, garlic, fresh coriander. One of the things about this particular region is that other than the presunto, the goat and sheep cheeses, there's olive oil, coriander. There's this herb, I think in England you call it pennyroyal, poejo. This herb is used a lot in the region, along with mint and oregano. So a lot of the dishes will have either coentro, pennyroyal, or mint. This one over here is, you can see it's a country soup, right? The bread that you were not able to finish yesterday, you just put it in a nice, beautiful broth, fry a nice egg, put it on top, and that's your very, very nice and hearty lunch. I can see a lot of farmers. I can see how this one gets used.
Well, that's a lovely suggestion there for our vegetarian viewers, and it looks to me like a fried egg sandwich soup. I mean, that's not to put it down anyway, but I mean, you've got a fried egg sandwich deconstructed into a soup there, and another little nod at the assorda, which is a staple of Portuguese cookery. Wherever we go, I think we've mentioned assorda in each of the regions we've been to, and like you say, Frank, it's a way of using the old bread, isn't it? Portuguese bread is lovely fresh. This is a way of making it lovely when it's a day or two old.
As we go through quite a few of these dishes, you will see, and this is one of the first things that we talked about. This is what I love about Portugal: is everything gets used
Yeah.
because people over here, just like it should be anywhere else, they don't believe in wasting anything. So if you've got bread from yesterday, it's going to get fried with some lard, some onions, and whatever, and then you'll have the one of the next few dishes that we'll see later is called migas. But this is
Oh,
bread best used for the bread.
yeah, and get used to having fried eggs in Portugal, because I don't, did that surprise you when you came here? The amount of dishes that actually get a cheeky fried egg thrown in.
Not at all. I have seen this in Brazil as well. I guess this is how Brazil got it. So what they will do is they've got a dish called feijão tropeiro, and this feijão, which is I guess bean stew, right on top they put a fried egg to top it up, and you will actually see somebody in a football stadium on their left hand have a thing with feijão tropeiro and rice, and on the right hand a big jug of beer. And this is how they will watch football over there.
That's brilliant. And then if somebody scores, you get covered in beer and feijoada in that moment.
And the egg, and you won't have any problems as long as your team scored, right?
It's true. I put a fried egg, really getting into this fried egg vibe in Portugal. I put a fried egg on the middle of the pizza I made for the kids yesterday. Egg on pizza is fantastic, and they loved it. I mean, it's a bit more Italian, I guess, than Portuguese, but they absolutely loved it, which is great.
It's protein. It's amazing. You put it on there.
Now, what
So
is
now,
this would be if you were walking through the Alentejo plains and you were confronted by this fella? This would be quite a shock, I think, isn't it? We're into the black pig territory now, are we not?
yes, this is our good friend, the porco preto, which is along with the porco bisero. This one is royalty. This was brought to Portuguese shores by the Phoenicians from modern day Lebanon. And what basically ended up happening is what they brought crossbred with the wild boar, or as Borat would say, they had sexy time, and they got together and they produced this beauty over here.
What a beast!
It, it
Formidable.
is called black Iberian pork. What I found out is this animal, whatever the product is, it gets sold to the Spaniards, and they call it pata negra over there. And it's also royalty over there. It's called Iberian pork over there. A lot of that product gets processed from there and gets sold back to Portugal a lot of the times.
Amazing. Sorry, I lost the pictures there. We'll come back to those in just a moment. Oh, I've got them again. I'm gonna have to scroll through again. Sorry, there's a bit of a slip of my mouse on that occasion, but it gives me the chance to show you a few more beautiful scenes of the Alentejo there. Here we go. This is how the butchering takes place. Look away now. If you're squeamish about this sort of matter, these are the cuts.
I put this shot in there so that whenever we go to the grocery store, we know exactly what cut we are buying. This is a very expensive product. These pigs, they are known for their nose, and they produce quite a bit of meat, and they are specifically fed on acorns. They are fed barley and maize as their piglets. And then months later, they are moved to oak forests to be fed on acorns. And they also eat grass and herbs. They are kept on a very good quality diet. A bit later in life, like after a year or so, they throw olives into the diet. At 2 years of age, they reach their top weight of 180 to 200 kilograms. And then they are unfortunately made to say goodbye. And they turn out to be, imagine if you ate acorns, olives, and stuff like that, you would taste good too. I'm quite sure you smell good too.
Yes, but I'm getting frightened that you're going to eat me, Frank. Okay, so these are the fellas that they're wondering about, and this is good to see, isn't it? This looks like some responsible farming going on rather than the hideous.
They're allowed to roam free. These are not those industrialized animals. This is why the meat from this pork, and it's very specific. When you look I've got another picture of the meat itself. It's very nicely marbled. It's the Wagyu of pork. You know, the Japanese Wagyu.
And that's
Look at
it.
the marbling on this. You rarely see this on any pork product. It's just beautiful. It's tasty. It's got its own nutty taste. Have you tried these? Have you tried a steak of this?
I think is this what would be the porco secretos?
Secretos, exactly.
I
There's
have it.
not much. There's no, and I was looking around. You know, when you do the translation, when you try to do the translation, it's like, and everything is like, what do you want from me, Frank? Pork secret? There is no secret. It's a beautiful animal. You know,
Yeah.
porco secretos. It's the cut. If you go one or two shots before, if you have a look at the animal itself, you
Okay.
will see that it's. Number
Behind the
11.
behind the
Number 11 is the secretos, and you can see what exactly we're talking about. It's just an unbelievable cut from this animal. Very, very juicy.
And has this been set up for a photograph, or is somebody eating a cured piece of secretos there? What's happening here? Is that just for the
Apparently, you don't. Apparently, you don't cook this thing a lot. Apparently,
right?
this is meant.
Good heavens! There we go. A close up. Right. Have I lost Frank now? It sounds ominously like Frank's. Oh no, you're still there. You went really quiet there, Frank. I'm in the picture gallery looking at these, but there is a quick
Oh yeah,
fry.
yeah. I want you to love this because the best way for me would be the way they do this is like they'll take these small cuts, marinate it in white wine, some coriander, some lemon juice, and then you will just grill it. It's very, very simply done.
Incredible.
Comes out. The simpler it is, the better it is because you can taste the meat itself.
Are we still looking at pork there with a bit of wilted espinafres or cabbage there, and a puree, I believe. That looks very pretentious
Correct.
standards, doesn't it?
That looks pretentious because I wanted to take you through the range of how you can basically eat it farm style all the way to this. This is something a proper Michelin kind of chef would do. And then moving on
Sorry,
to
I just did. Yeah, the Michelin chef there with his jus, I think, going on there as well, or a reduction of some sort. And then, of course,
yeah, the same thing is going to charge you like, let's say, 50, $60 more, but you know, you pay for skill set and pretentiousness, of course.
yes. There's a little bit of an insight into how Frank feels about these things. This, of course, is a really big classic dish for the Alentejo, right? We're looking at clams with pork here, aren't we?
Absolutely, and I can assume by how you just described it, you love this dish. This is one of your favorites. I think I've heard you say that.
Yeah, I do. I really like this. This is the Portuguese surf and turf going on here, isn't it? With some chips in there in the mix as well.
The chips, it's done on a bed of fried potatoes, and then you've got the pork, and you've got the clams in white wine sauce. It's just unbelievable. At any Portuguese restaurant you will go to, pretty much anywhere in the world, this should be a staple on there. This will be a staple on there.
Yeah, tremendous. We got to keep up with these comments because if I match the wrong comment to the wrong picture, this is Julia. Good morning to you, Julia. Talking about the earlier dish of the assorda with the fried egg on top there. You really like the look of that, and as did Andy. Not this particular one. Andy wouldn't be eating that, but he loved the idea of that the Alentejan assorda. Interestingly, Humberto, what wonderful Humberto from our Expats Portugal. Ask our expats team, an amazing guy, knows a lot about cars, knows a lot about alternative energy and building homes here. You need to check him out if you're interested in those sorts of things. A true petrol head among Portuguese. In the north of Portugal, the V is sometimes pronounced as a B. So it's one of those regional things then. But the rest of Portugal, it's a V for Vinho. Thank you for clearing that up, Humberto. Bon dia todos. Hank, Vinho is Spanish. Okay. So there's a Spanish thing, and maybe it's a border thing up there, and why it's B and a V. Portuguese is a V sound, especially vera in Spanish. Okay. So vera and beira there. is another example of that. Fantastic. Thanks, everybody, for all of this. Rachel, I think, was saying something similar, but I might have lost her comment there. So cheers, Rachel, for your input on that. If you think you might have a hangover, still talking about hangovers, Gary, here, have some toast with honey, a few crisps. Hold on, it sounds like one of Gary's forest picnics here. Toast with honey, a few crisps, and a glass of orange juice or water. Overnight alcohol causes your body to use up sugar, salt, and other minerals and fluids, leaving your electrolytes all over the place. And nobody wants their electrolytes all over the place. So get ahead of the game and take a little extra on the salt and sugar front. There are some professionals talking here, aren't they? Clearly. Paul, hangovers. Funny how we get our hangover while drinking. Solution, don't stop drinking. One way of putting it, isn't it? Thanks, Paul, for that erudite advice from maybe a lifetime of experience. Frank, have a look on this website. A Flemish couple raising special pigs at. Do you know the Stomangalista? There's a risk for.
No, I don't. But it must be special as well, because depending on the terroir, whatever the animal is eating will be represented in the meat as well, right?
Yeah, thanks for that.
Amazing as well.
Thanks, Johnny. Good morning to you. Bonjour, bon dia. Secretos de porco preto from Paul and Louise. Yummy. Paul asks, where are the rice and beans and chips? It's a special lunch Sunday at our local restaurant. That sounds fantastic, Paul. Where is that restaurant? Dare you tell us? I love the pork, clam, and fried potatoes dish. So, yeah, a fellow fan of this one. And Leslie as well. Bon dia. Oh, yum for this one. Penny, we had an amazing Iberian pork dish by a Michelin-starred Michael O'Hare. He could be Irish, I'm guessing, delivered to us during lockdown. Check it out. One of those with a cook-along video, a real treat. So you get the dish delivered in lockdown, and they send you a video of them cooking it. Maybe that does sound like a lovely treat. Fantastic. A bit of an idea for you there as well, Frank. Possibly. All right. So
yeah, nice one, Michael.
Oh, excuse me. A close up there. A close up on this lovely dish. Look at that. And the herbs. This is part of what excites you, Frank. Okay, it's the herb and spice content of these things, right?
This is the exciting part about this food. Most of Alentejo cuisine is the simplicity. This next one that we're looking at is the migas.
Oh. Okay, tell us about migas then.
Migas are pretty much the same thing with the stale bread. You just put the way I have done it is on the side. I've just sautéed some onions and stuff like that. You can take stale bread from yesterday, day before yesterday, and it comes from the verb migar, which basically means to cut or to chop or to take off, and you just basically throw it together with a little bit of water. You can put a little bit of milk in there and whatever, and fry it together with the onions, garlic, and stuff like that, and bring it off. And along with this, you can have a meat product, and it's just amazing. You can reuse all that bread without throwing it away, and it's just a brand new dish.
But this one looks like it's been bound together by an egg. Is that what's going on here? It looks a bit omelette-y, doesn't it?
It does look omelette-y, is because what they've done is once it got wet, they basically cooked it, and this is very likely, like the one of those French omelets. This is like the bottom of the pan kind of thing. The person tried to pull a Michelin star kind of deal, and pulled it on. This is not the top part. This is the bottom part of the migas. But it's it's done in a very rustic manner. This once again is fancy schmancy chef guy.
I could eat that now. I mean, when I first encountered migas in the churrasqueira, in the barbecue chicken takeaway, and big shout out to Portuguese chicken barbecue shops, because this is where the whole Nando's idea came from, I think. And it's really typically modest and understated here in Portugal. Every little village, pretty much, or town has and I hope I'm saying this near enough correctly, the churrasqueira. And yesterday, before the 1 o'clock curfew, I saw local Portuguese people down near me queuing up for their barbecue chicken on a Sunday. And that's the environment in which I first encountered the migas, in a slightly different form. Bread, caldo verde, the cabbage and bread fried with onions and maybe a bit of garlic and some seasoning. So you've got your barbecue chicken, you've got your chips, and you've got some migas in there as well. Fried egg on top of that. Fantastic, fantastic night in.
They do migas so many different ways. Like you see, like this one, it's like it's a little bit thick, porridgey, and then you've got the sausages or the little chorizos on the side, whatever. You can do it so many different ways. The entire idea is to use up the bread and with seasoning and make sure that it becomes the staple for that dinner or lunch that you're going to use it for.
And look at those Portuguese touches in there, Frank. That to me looks like grandma's avó's tablecloth. You've got her terracotta ware there that makes it very Portuguese, and a slice of Alentejo orange on the top of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is beautiful. You and I would sit over there and do some business on that migas with the meat, the entrecosto. Now, this next one is the ensopado de borrego. This is the lamb stew. And now we're getting into the territory of a lot of the hunters' food. So this lamb stew is done so many different ways, and there's so many different variations based on the north of Alentejo, based on the south. It's done so many different ways, but a lot of different animals are used, and I'm quite sure when they use borrego or lamb like this, they use so many different cuts. I've seen ribs done in this stew. This is for the winters when you want something very hearty, something very warm. A nice, beautiful stew like this would do the business, don't you think?
Absolutely, yes. It's just not helping, frankly, with my
another version of the borrego ensopado. It's some of them I have seen them like a very thick stew. Some of them I've seen them almost as a soup. So there are variations. Obviously, every grandma has their own way of doing it, has their own specialty. They throw their own spin into it, which turns out to be just unbelievable.
And this isn't a dish that's going to be just thrown together while you're waiting, is it? This is one that's going to be been in the pot for a day or two, presumably, before you rock up at the restaurant.
Absolutely. This is something that they would, I'm quite sure the restaurant would have it on a Saturday or on a Sunday. They would have it on the menu for a while. You would have bookings. Not like the Michelin star bookings, but you would have bookings from before where Pedro from two doors down has basically come into the owner and said, "Hey, you know what? I know you're doing borrego on that day. Can you please make sure keep a seat for my wife and I?" That's how bookings are done.
Frank, I've had that. See, I've been along to some of the local takeaways around, or the ones that have been turned into takeaways, who are formerly great local restaurants, and I've just walked in and said, can I have that, and that, pointing to things on the menu. And it's like, well, did you ring? And I hadn't rung, and I've been sent away, tail between my legs, because you've got to, and it's a real disadvantage being a foreigner in that situation. Having to make the phone call and order these things is a bit of. It'll be very good for my Portuguese, learning of the language. But
but if you get used to the rhythm in your tongue, I'm quite sure now you've lived over there for a while. If you get used to the rhythm of on Thursday this is what they do, on Wednesday this is what they do.
Yes. I hadn't thought of that.
So what a lot of people do is they'll go on the Monday and they'll be like, I know what you're going. Are you still doing Wednesday on that? On Wednesday you're doing the borrego, and they'll be like, yes. So they'll be like, okay, so have 2 of those ready for me. And this is how they usually do the Portuguese reservations, which is beautiful.
Good plan, sir. Excellent. Okay, a similar. Are we veering away from this dish now, or is this another take on the same thing?
It's the same dish. I just wanted to show a different variation of how differently this dish can be done.
Yes.
Or has been done.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
So this next one is sopa de cação. And a lot of our friends from the UK, from Canada and US will be like, what is this, Frank? This is dogfish soup.
Yes.
And this soup as well, it's such a humble fish. What they say is the reason why this soup is very traditional is because of the skin of this fish allows it to stay fresh for a longer amount of time. So grandma can like buy it on, like, let's say when it comes in fresh on the Monday or Tuesday, and she'll have it around till Wednesday or Thursday when she gets to cook it. It's very meaty. It's got an amazing flavor, and there's so many different variations of this fish. I also wanted to. I've got a few pictures of the fish itself, so we get a very good idea of what this beautiful fish looks like.
What did you
It's
call
done
it?
in.
Can I have the name of the dish and the name of the fish again?
Yes, it's called dogfish soup.
Dogfish soup. And what's in the Portuguese?
Sopa de cação.
And now dogfish, is that the same as like rock salmon or huss? Because you often get these different names, don't you, for the same thing? I'm wondering if that's the case.
I didn't recognize. Look at this beauty over here. I didn't recognize this fish. You and I obviously would make good friends with this fish, but it's I did not recognize it at any point in my life. I don't.
He's used to swimming around on the bottom, I think, isn't he? This guy, he's a stealth fish. Look at that.
Oh, this one. It's let's just say it's seen better days. This fish, and it's the meat that you get out of it. Look at the thick skin of this fish. That's why it survives in your fridge for 4 or 5 days before you can cook it, or you can cook it pretty much the same day.
Fascinating. Okay. Okay. So we're never going to be far away from the bread, are we? That soup, that's a bit special. And actually, before we leave that soup, it's really interesting how that's presented, because you've got that cut across the fish, haven't you, with the spine still in there, and presumably the way that's been cooked, that flesh there is just going to fall away from the bone there and be in the stock of the soup, and that is going to be very, very delicious.
Very much, and they say that cooking this fish actually it takes a bit of cooking. It doesn't fall apart that easily. It's the kind of stewed fish that you want. It's a stubborn little thing. If you look at the fish itself, you can see that it's a stubborn little thing. And when you cook it, a lot of the way it's done is exactly this way. It's cut across, and you see the spine right in the middle, and you see the meat around it.
Incredible. And of course, then you need the bread to dip into the end of your soup, don't you? And we're looking at some pão d'avo here, done in the Alentejo outside oven here.
Exactly. This is the traditional pão de Alentejo. This is as rustic as it gets. I'm quite sure we've all who have the privilege of living over here, we've tried these breads. They're as rustic as they come, but they are so amazing. And these are the kinds of breads, a lot of times, because of the size of them, like let's say you get 1 or 2 of them, and then before like the second day or third day, as they start getting stale, you can start using them in the soups, you can start using them in the migas, you can start doing so many different things with these generous beauties.
Oh, yes, indeed. Okay, and that oven, cooking in the oven like that. A few people with their own Portuguese house here will have inherited a bread oven, and they're probably using it for pizza as well. What a lovely thing to do. Or a chanfana in the outdoor oven, possibly, as well. So, again, like bread, you're never going to be far away from olives here, are you, in Portugal?
From olives and the beautiful olive oil, which is another one of the staples from this area. If you talk to people from Alentejo, especially Neil, he will tell you that the olive oil over there is the best. But if you get like unbiased opinions, people will say because of the terra, because of the land, because of how they produce it, Alentejo has some of the best olive oil in Portugal. As you go towards the north, of course, the flavor changes because of the terra, but unbelievable. This Flor de Alentejo is one of the biggest sellers.
I remember when I was in Italy, I was with a chef, and we were it was a stag do actually, and we were at this wonderful sort of country house. And it had an outdoor oven like the picture we just saw. We were buying stuff for a feast. It was like the last supper of this groom, and when we were in the shop buying all the meat and fish and veg and stuff, we bought some olive oil as well, and the chef poured it out. A little drop of it. You know, the woman in the shop said, do you want to try it? And he poured a little bit out onto the back of his hand and licked it off the back of his hand. Is that to bring it to life, right? Give it some air, give it some warmth from the skin, and then you can really taste what you're doing there.
Give it some warm body temperature, and you get to taste. I've gone to olive oil tastings, and you just taste it like with either you can do it on your skin, or you can just do it in a teaspoon, and you see the difference. If you try 5 or 6 different olive oils, depending on the land, like it could be some of this land, like it could be 2 kilometers away, and if it's a different varietal, the taste could be completely different. One can be peppery, one can be sweet. There's so many different kinds of olives over here.
Yes, and we see on this label the DOP. So there is a provenance. Is that the word? Registration to make sure you've got a certified olive oil that it does what it says on the label, basically, right?
All of this is privilege certification. So this product, when it goes anywhere in Europe or anywhere around the world, in order for it to have the DOP, like right behind this label towards the back, you will see the certificate. It's the same thing with the pork products. When the porco preto or Iberian pork is sold, it's sold with the certificate that it is from that area, it is from that region, it's certified.
Tremendous. Okay, I mentioned color. We are going into a color explosion in this food now. What have we got here?
This for vegetarians again. This one is the bacalhau com broa. So remember we were just talking about the broa.
The fish. This is what the pescatarian for the cod brother, I think.
Yes, for the folks who love their cod. So a day or two, if your broa has gone like kind of dry and you want to bring it back to life, a little bit of water, some seasoning, and then you plant it right on your bacalhau and you bake it, and it has like a very nice crusty kind of. It's unbelievable. Look at this.
It looks great. That looks really.
You get creative with your breadcrumbs again.
Get creative with your breadcrumbs if you've got a dry broa. Nothing worse. And there it is, another zoom in. And these are the punched potatoes, are they? They look like they've had a smack.
These are the punched Moorish potatoes.
What's that about? Because I thought that was really funny when I first heard of the Portuguese punching their potatoes. And I remember putting some sort of social media post. Like, this is such a peaceful land and such kind, calm people. Except when it comes to potatoes and they start punching their potatoes.
No, can you see Joel doing this to his potato?
Yes, I can. That's why he's otherwise a very calm person, because he's taking it out on the potatoes. No harm done there. But I guess you're getting a flavour explosion, aren't you? If you give the potato a bit of a fist, you get the olive oil, the seasoning, the salt and pepper is just going into the cracks of the recently pounded potato.
Not only that, it's the garlic flavor. You get like this amazing crust. You get and the potatoes over here, they pack a punch. They might be small, but they pack a punch.
They punch you back with their flavor. That's really good. Okay, sorry for the slow loading, but look, we've got a similar vibe here again, haven't we? The bacalhau with the crumb top there.
With the crumb top.
Yeah, beautiful.
This next dish is the Coelho Caçador Alentejano, and this is the rabbit, and this is the hunter's rabbits that they cook. Just like there is, I think, in Canada we've got hunter's chicken. This is pretty much that kind of dish where you can, if you go to somebody's lodge or whatever, they've just killed a few rabbits, they bring it in and they cook it in their very nice rustic oven with a few seasonings, and this is the dish you will see in front of you. Even this dish has quite a few different variations.
I bet it does, and I want to talk about one, but comments coming in. Maria Fernandes, good morning, everyone. Starting the day with food, absolutely. I wish I had, rather than just looking at loads of pictures. But this is great, Frank. You're really getting my belly rumbling again, as you usually do, and I always forget to eat on a Monday morning. His restaurant is in Leeds. This is Michael O'Hare, the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, the Wizard of Oz in the kitchen, from Yorkshire. Michael O'Hare, obviously with a name like that. Our migash around here is a bit like crumbled cornbread, yes, with cabbage, onions, garlic, fried in olive oil a little, yes. And do you have that with your barbecue chicken there, or your grilled chicken, Gary? I would have eaten that soup if Frank had not told me what it was. Oh, okay. Not too keen on the idea of that old
Of
fish.
the dogfish soup.
It does need a better name than that. Gary adding, Linda made some supper for Senor and Senora Francis the other day. Oh, how lovely for the neighbours from some of the ingredients they gave us from their garden. That is a beautiful returned compliment, isn't it? When you get the veg coming over and you send it back as soup. The next day, Mr. F came round with a huge bucket of oranges and lemons and said the supper was muito bom gosto. Very good. What a lovely little vignette of life in central Portugal there. Paul's here as well. Very nice roast you posted up yesterday, Paul. What's your opinion on the best form of migas? As I've noticed, it differs the further south you venture from here being Coimbra there. So I haven't got enough experience myself on the migas there. Frank, have you got a range of migashes to speak from?
But I've had it just twice, and what I liked is the version that I see over here because it's got a little bit of a crust. And if it's like nicely cooked, it's like you have a little bit of the porridgey bit because it's just you can kind of see the stale bread brought to life. But if it's got a nice brown crust to it, and if you've like baked it a little bit, then it really does come together, and you see a brand new creation with the bread. So I like the one with the crust.
I'm with you. A bit of a crunch on it is good. That sounds better to me. What about you, Paul? You let us know what your favourite is. And the thing about bread for Gary is no preservatives in the bread, just good wholesome stuff. No Chorley wood process here. None of that nonsense. Yeah, fresh every day, and so it should be. I've so much to learn about Portuguese dishes on cooking them, says Beverly. It is exciting. It absolutely is. Stay tuned with us for the weekly food tour on a Monday with wonderful Frank here. Frank, have you tried burras assadas? Is that?
No, I haven't started bothering with donkeys for now. The day will come. I will not say no to anything, but the day will come, and someone will feed it to you. You've had a few drinks. Someone will be like, "Hey, Frank, you know what you just had? You just had Farmer João's donkey from 2 years ago. We've just like done," and I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, it tasted good."
I thought you were going to say from 1982. I mean, that's a sort of maybe a cultural step too far, isn't it? I mean, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of fried donkey before now. But
it's in Switzerland. Horse meat is a huge deal. I've seen it in the grocery stores over there, and as a matter of fact, it's sold from Canada, from Alberta, to Switzerland. So I wouldn't be surprised. Donkey meat would probably be a little bit tougher. It'd probably be a stew or something.
Yes, indeed.
But this one he's saying is it's an asada. Yeah.
Okay, mouth-watering coelho, the rabbit dish there. Recommend arroz. Oh, so you've got the duck rice that we're familiar with, arroz de pato, but arroz de coelho as well there. Coelho. Thank you very much, Paul and Louise. My man has made us caldo verde to enjoy later. Lovely stuff, fantastic. Andrea, a staple of Portuguese homes, of course, caldo verde. And let's go back to these wonderful pictures then, and the rabbit that you mentioned. I first had this in central Portugal. It was a memory. I think it's getting on for 15 years ago. First time coming to Portugal, falling in love with the place. Glad to be living here now. And I went to a restaurant, and I need your help, actually, central Portugal people, to find out if this restaurant is still near Tabua, or I'm sure the restaurant is still there, but whether it's the same, whether it's open, or it will be open again soon, and it's the same German, I think, German chef who owned it. And I ordered the rabbit stew, which looked a little bit like this, and we had a beautiful evening. And by the end of the evening, he was closing down the kitchen, and he brought the pot out, and he said, "Do you want some more?" And I was able to just finish off this incredible rabbit stew that he'd made, and then it was beautiful, and it was an old olive oil mill. Is it still there? People who live around Tabua or Oliveira de Hospital, I'd love to go back there again. And when the chef came out, it's often interesting to see a chef, isn't it? Sort of a little bit battle weary by the end of the evening. They've given their all, and they sit down, don't they? They've got their apron on and their tea towel hanging down there. And he was having a drink. I think maybe we bought him a drink. Said thanks, his food's amazing. And a baby fox appeared, ran across the entrance hall and jumped onto his lap. And I think what the chef did, and this little fox, they would meet at the end of the evening after service, and the fox would come and have his little snack with the chef. And it was the most amazing evening. Is it still there, folks, in central Portugal?
I have a question for you, Carl. Before you move on, this is a wonderful story. So when you brought the pot, did you put your bread inside the pot to like get the last bits off? Because that's the part that I love of eating from. It's like right, you just get the right
to
towards
the dark corners of the terracotta.
the dark corners of the terracotta pot. That is the real taste right there.
I think I probably did. It's really
You
beautiful.
probably did.
I've only had it twice down the south where you described it, with a bit crunch there on the amigas here. Up here, it seems to be mostly caldo verde, yeah, beans and big. Yes, the beans are in there, aren't they, as well? And the big breadcrumbs. I like both, but need to get down south more to try the food this year. Fingers crossed. Yes, Paul, absolutely. And this is Gary's donkey joke, which I could see coming here. He always calls me that. I think he always has a bit of cooked donkey. Sorry, you should be sorry. Okay, onward then with this fantastic slideshow of food. Thank you to all the photographers and to the tourist sites whose photographs we're looking at this morning. We really appreciate it. What is this thing of beauty here, Frank?
This is still your coelho. Your coelho dish. I wanted to show. I wanted to throw another version of it. This one is with the sausages. It gives it a bit of a different flavor. And if you'll see towards on that side, this one is done with thyme.
Okay, with time.
And this one is done with olives and chorizo. And I think this one is the one which it's on a bed of potatoes. Those smashed or the punched Moorish potatoes.
Absolutely fantastic. You say Moorish. This is a Moorish import, then, is it? The idea of hitting
it's called batatas muro.
Oh, okay. All right. Are we into dessert territory now? Now we've had our lovely
Yes, we are, and you're gonna like this because this is kind of going into your territory where we're going to go. A lot of these desserts, as we know in Portugal, as we've traveled through, it's a lot of these dishes are convent creations.
Yes.
So the nurses and priests and the nuns and priests, they get into it. The priests get more into the drink. The nuns get more into the sweet dishes. So this is one of those creations. It's called sericaya. And this is, once again, eggs, cinnamon. It's a plum cake from this. It's a very famous plum cake from this town called Elvas. And you see like the little sweetened plum over there. It's just a next picture you will see. It's a very thin cake, and then you have like I think this plum syrup that they put on it. It's famous for. Pardon?
So the nuns have been working on a dessert there, but have the priests and monks put that plum in some booze as well, or is that?
I wouldn't be surprised because they work in conjunction with one another. I'm quite sure the kitchen is talking to the brewery.
The kitchen is talking to the brewery. That would be a great approach to life. Having the kitchen always talking to the brewery. What's this?
This is your territory. It's called barriga de freira, and guess what that means?
I don't know. Does it mean Cornish pasty done in a Portuguese style?
No, this is nun's belly with almonds. This is the version of this sweet dish from the north. The ones that are from Alentejo. If you go to the next slide.
Oh, no, I'm not going to the next slide, Frank, because this, I think, is how they got the priests and monks to remain celibate. If you believed that a nun's belly looked like that, you would probably stay well away, wouldn't you? Anyway. What's
so this is the authentic Alentejo version of this. So it's in Alentejo. That was the northern version. You remember when we were doing the desserts from the north? There was the nun's belly over there as well, but it was in some kind of pasty. It was in some kind of a bread creation. This one over here in Alentejo, the truth has finally come out and realized itself as a pudding. And so this one is called the nun's belly with almonds.
Nun's belly with almonds, okay. Oh, and are we looking at the same thing again, done a different way, or
We're looking at done a different way, exactly.
interesting? Wow, okay. And
Another way of doing this, nun's belly, a bit jiggly but very tasty. Not that I've tasted it.
yeah, you say that. Okay, and we talked about those lovely aluminium molds that you see hanging up around in Grandma's kitchen. This looks straight from one of those molds, doesn't it?
This is pão de ló. This is the sponge cake.
Oh, I see. Pão de ló. Okay, we've seen that, haven't we? We've seen the kind of distant relative in the supermarkets, I think, because that catches your eye when you're walking around Pingados and you see this shape here. So I'm guessing there's quite a lot of egg in there.
There's quite a lot of egg in there, and these, by the way, all of them. When I did the research on them, these are all from the convents. So apparently, these wonderful nuns, they had a lot of time on their hands, and they came up with so many different ways of using this. This is what you see at Bingo Doce when you go over there. This is the top part of this pão de ló.
I tell you what, though, if NASA released that, if you zoomed out a bit, and NASA released that picture and said this is what the Mars rover has photographed, you'd believe it, wouldn't? That looks like from deep space, doesn't it? As well as Grandma's.
Yes.
Incredible. That's. I'm going to zoom in myself now. There we go. Oh, look, see that? It's like an eye looking at you, isn't it? That's really very. Wow. Okay. And let's have a little tart to finish.
Now, these are specific from the town of Évora. These are called queijada de Évora.
Oh, okay. And what are we? What's going on there? Have we got a little bit of almond flavor, or is there a bit?
We've got almond paste. Because the thing is, in Alentejo, I've noticed a lot of these sweets have a mix of obviously the usual suspects. You've got the eggs, you've got the cinnamon, and then in this one you've got the almonds. And this one is I've tried this, unbelievable, as you can imagine.
With a coffee, and then sometimes does the orangey flavor, come in, drift into this territory as well?
Drift from time to time. It depends on who's doing it, because everyone's got their recipe, everyone's got their little take on it. But I can see this one being done with a little orange jam on top or a little orange syrup on top. It would be amazing.
Yes, me too. Boom. Okay.
All kinds of excuses to get yourself to the kind of weight that you cannot work back out of.
Exactly. We're all there at the moment. And so these, then, this is another different kind of tart.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. And look at this. A rare raspberry here. Here's
the English translation of this cake. It's called bacon from heaven.
Bacon. Is this another pork?
Exactly. It's called tocinho doce, lard cake.
Okay, so this is what vegetarians need to be really careful about, because often a vegetarian is thinking by the end of the meal, I'm pretty safe now. I can choose anything from the dessert trolley, actually or metaphorically. Or more often in Portugal, you're going to be looking at a chiller cabinet, aren't you? A glass chiller cabinet with all the desserts in there. Be careful, because you might end up with a pork-based finish to your meal.
This one, the funny thing is, this one's got cinnamon, cloves. This one's got grated almonds as well. Yeah, as you can imagine, if you look at the consistency of this one, I think at some point, if you've lived in Portugal for more than 6 months, you've tried this one. Yes. It's heavy bacon. Bacon done right.
Yeah, my mum was a Chinese lady. She'd love the almondy. She's not a big dessert person, which I think is a sort of thing, in the Far East maybe. But she would like this because she likes the almond flavor. But to know that there was bacon in it as well would really delight her, I think. And then finally, Frank, the same sort of tart here, but without the raspberries this time.
Yeah, they've got like a little bit of the sugar dusting on top, but it's the same culprit. It's the same person going and giving you those sweet sweats. Do you get sweet sweats, by the way? Have you had those?
Yes, I do. I get it with. Is this while you're eating it?
Yes, especially if you've got a dessert that's like coming out like quite warm. and you can't wait to eat it, and you're like eating it and you're sweating. This happens obviously the main meal as well, but I get sweet sweats because
Yes,
I've got a bit of a sweet tooth, and I'm quite sure you do as well.
I am familiar with that condition, and I had it as well. I was minded to speak of this the other day with my friend and colleague Jerry, talking about the Ulster fry, which is the Northern Irish fry up breakfast, which has kind of 6 kinds of sausage in it. And strangely enough, again, I was with a group of Chinese people in Belfast having breakfast at a B&B, which is the most incongruous kind of setup, like to be with 3 Chinese people in a Belfast B&B. In the B&B of a lady who was obviously a singer back in the day, and she had all her photographs in the dining room of her when you can imagine the scene, can't you? And then a Belfast breakfast turns up. And I think it had like 6 kinds of sausage in it, and that's that sweat thing. Sorry to be talking about this at breakfast time.
You had pork sweats, yes. We all get that too. We would
Okay,
get it from this particular pork.
I didn't realize that, but that's what it was. And yeah, and it was such a surprise, and it could happen in Portugal to be confronted by whatever 8 or 9 or 10 different meat products on the same breakfast plate could quite easily happen here in Portugal. As a proud Transmontano, I have to say this is a very generous statement here from
Very
Nuno
generous.
Pinheiro this morning. Alentejo food is amazing, and you don't often get that across regions, do you? But this the Transmontano cap is being doffed towards the direction of the Alentejo this morning. Peggy, Paudolo, yum yum. I made a strawberry shortcake with it this weekend. Now that's an interesting transatlantic mix-up, hybrid mashup going on there, isn't it? This cake
And,
is
and imagine with the prosecco on the side.
strawberries and prosecco, great combo, fantastic. Victoria's
Yes.
here as well. Bon dia a todos from
Hey,
Victoria.
Victoria.
How are your plans doing? Frank, what a fabulous tour. It's 10:15, would you believe? Time flies when you're having fun and talking about food. Where are we off to next week?
I'm thinking we'll probably next week do an island. We'll do Madeira.
Oh, yes, of course. And we know what that means, don't we? There's going to be a bit of booze involved in that if we're going to Madeira.
There's going to be quite a few different kinds of beverages involved. There's going to be quite a few different kinds of sweets involved. It's going to be exotic. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do some good stuff there.
Frank, do you want to stay for the weather?
Absolutely.
So let's have a look how this weather's shaping up then. Thank you so much. That was such a joy to behold.
You're very welcome.
With you, Frank. Frank, about food on a Monday, the Portugal food tour, taking different regions and looking at their food and making ourselves feel very hungry. Basically, that's what happens here on a Monday. And we also, what we used to do, and we haven't been doing because we've been talking too much about food, is having a look at the weather ahead. How's it looking in Coimbra this morning where you are, Frank?
It is looking. It was looking sunny up till now. Now it's kind of gone gray, but the sun is going to be out. It's kind of obviously guaranteed this time of year.
Yep, a sunny day. And are you finding it a bit fresh at night still, though, and first thing in the morning?
Last night it was. I had to turn the heater on for a bit. How about you?
Same again. And I believe for some gardeners, unfortunately, there was a bit of a frost in some parts of Portugal. So we're in that territory, aren't we? It's like, shall we, shan't we? Go down to one layer or whatever.
But the weather system seems to like go very quickly. So within 2-3 hours, it was kind of warm again. Microclimates, I guess, right?
Yes, indeed. And that is the thing about Portugal. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. A great little quote said to me, Portugal is a cold country with a hot sun. And this is a time of where when you realize that at night it goes cold, in the morning it can be a bit cold. But by about 10 or 11 o'clock, you've replaced those 7 layers of mufflers and hats and overcoats with your Hawaiian shirt. And you're thinking, wow, this is amazing. So let's take a look at that weather now. We are looking at, in the capital here for the week ahead, 14 degrees at the moment and a clear sky. They're not breaking 20 until the weekend, though, in terms of the temperature. So a nice sunny day. Enjoy it today in Lisbon at 18, which is your high today. A bit cloudy tomorrow and for the rest of the week, but temperatures around the 16, 17, 18 mark, and a nice 21 and 23 in the capital at the end of the week. Porto, still looking a little bit chilly midweek, 12 degrees, but currently 13 and moving towards a warmer weekend of 18 and 19 towards the end of this week. 17 the high today. Coimbra, where you are, this is 21. Yeah, you're right, Frank. 21 today, 21 tomorrow, and 24 degrees Saturday and Sunday of the weekend coming. How about that?
Sound on pay-per-view.
18 degrees in Faro at the moment. That will be the high there today. You've got a bit of a cloudy week coming and 18s at the weekend. So actually central Portugal has it. Where you are, where we are, Frank, it's going to be a lovely week. And you can see all of that on our weather page. What a lovely morning it's been. Thank you to everybody. Weather report coming in from another one from Coimbra with Maria Fernandez. She says, sunny day, but a little fresh. Yeah, okay, just as we're going into spring, it's a bit like that at the moment. Thanks, everybody. You have been amazing. And we'll see you again tomorrow morning with our partner Spartan FX. Will be here talking about a currency report, which is very important to some people, especially when you're parting with big sums of money to buy your new house in Portugal. And Arwen as well from Central Portugal, talking about her new menu, Aromáticas, and the pitfalls and trials and tribulations and challenges of keeping a business open in this difficult time. Coimbra, finally from Gary, Coimbra summer is a bit different from a Lisbon one. It's very true. So many different kinds of climates in one country here. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye for now, especially you, Frank. And Frank, about food every Monday. Thanks from Peggy as well. It's been amazing. Cheers, Frank. Take care.
Thanks,
and bye for now.